Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.
August 2019 to date, through the ministry and its parastatals, federal government has established and completed over 300 ICT centers in this country. Over 300 centers in this country. And these centers are in each and every state of the Federation, including FCT. There is no single state in the country that we have not established centers on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria. And these centers are for citizens. And these centers are not counter-funding. They have been funded by the federal government 100%. And they have been donated to institutions or communities for free. And this is in the area of infrastructure to support economic development and build the capacity of our citizens. Because of time constraint, let me move to the second priority area. That is the area of fighting corruption. As we all know, e-governance is one of the most effective ways of fighting corruption. And that is why the current administration is passionate about driving e-governance. Firstly, we have National E-Government Master Plan in place. Secondly, to build the capacity of our civil servants and even public officers. With the support of the South Korean government, the federal government of Nigeria has established a world-class National E-Government Center at the Federal Public Institute here in Abuja, where civil servants are being trained on e-governance. It is a world-class center that has been established in collaboration with the South Korean government. And we have been followed, and the amount is justifiable. We have saved over 22.4 billion naira as at the middle of March 2021. The policy was in place before the coming of this administration, but it has never been used. It has never been used through history. It was only the current administration that reactivated the policy and implemented it. As at middle of March, over 727 federal institutions have registered, and over 323 major projects have been cleared. Some of them have been implemented, and some of them are being implemented today. In fighting corruption, one of the major things we have discovered when we came on board, government spectrums and frequencies were allocated for free, and there was no justification. When we came on board, we discovered that one of the most important resources of our country was given for free without any official documentation to a private institution. And the price of that was valued at over 28 billion naira. We contacted the regulator NCC. Where was the approval? EVC confirmed that this is what we inherited even before we were appointed. And I said we cannot ignore this. Government needs money to help and support citizens. We formalize it, and we ask for justification of taking the spectrum for free. No. We mandated them through NCC that the money must be paid. As at today, the company has agreed to pay 28 billion naira. Not only has agreed, they have started the payment. The first deposit they did was how much EVC?
It's the region of 5 billion.
They immediately, as at last year, they immediately remitted 5 billion naira to federal government. And the second installment, I could not recall vividly, but it's around the same 5 billion they had paid. So now we are in the process of retrieving government money, which is, I think, around 28 billion or thereabout. And this is one out of many. It's just an example. What we inherited, somebody will just sit down without anything, will say, okay, you are my friend, you have been given this spectrum. A spectrum of around 28 billion will be given to somebody, but President Buhari has stopped it completely. From the time he appointed us to supervise the sector to date, nobody has ever been given that. You have to come and pay so that the money will be used in supporting our citizens, building infrastructure in the country, promoting our education and health sector, and many more. This is only one example out of many. Not to talk of blocking leakages, that we have blocked so many leakages. Some of them are not even for public, it's not even important to say, but we have blocked them. So what is important, it is not business as usual. It is not business as usual. With the leadership of President Muhammad Buhari, that cannot be ignored. Because of time constraint, let me move to the third priority area, which is supporting security. In the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, security is not our mandate. But what we discover, since we have been appointed by President Muhammad Buhari, and security is part of his priority area, then we must support all the priority areas that he comes up with. It is because of this, in the administration and in our leadership, we always say security is even more important to economic development. Because based on the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, Section 14, subsection 2, under Article B, that security and welfare of the people is the primary responsibility of government. It is because of this we have made it clear to all stakeholders in the sector that when there is clash of interest between security and economic development, our priority and preference is that security, not economic development. Security cannot be developed. Security cannot be compromised because of economic development. It should be our priority and preference. We have come up with so many policies in order to support security institutions. Number one, for example, when I was assigned to supervise the sector on 21st August 2019, unregistered SIMs, pre-registered SIMs, partial registered SIMs were being used in perpetrating and perpetuating crime in the country. Nobody knew even the total number of unregistered SIMs. Within less than 15 days in office, we have engaged NCC as the regulator, and we have directed them to carry audit exercise to come up with unregistered and partial registered SIMs. They came up with around 9.4 million in this country, which is enough to be a population of another country. It was the first time we even knew the total number of unregistered or pre-registered SIMs in the country. And we go further and directed NCC to ensure that by 25th September 2019, that is only 1 month and 4 days in office I spent then, to ensure that by the end of 25th September 2021, no single unregistered SIM on our network. NCC as the regulator implemented that effectively. Go through history, go through news. From end of September 2019, October, November, December, January, February 2020, you will discover even kidnapping and banditry reduced to the minimum, to the barest minimum. It was the time that in public you can spend 1 month or more without hearing anything about kidnapping. The more you come up with policies to make the system effective, the more criminals will come up with another strategy to compromise the policy. So it is because of this they came up with another approach where they used to engage agents registering SIMs in Nigeria. These agents are not employees of the federal government. They were employees They were employees of usually MN or mobile network operators. So some of them, not all, some of them, let us be fair to them, some of them, not all, compromised the process to the extent that they used to invite somebody, give him certain amount of money, and say, we will use your biometric to register some SIMs. They will go online and find any image they get, fix it at the passport, use biometric of one person to register 100 SIMs. When you come to buy SIM, they will say, okay, if you need pre-registered SIM, you will add this amount of money on it. We will give you. If you need to present your biometric, then you can buy the cheapest. So criminals exploited that. They were buying pre-registered SIM. Then the federal government of Nigeria came up with another policy, that is national policy on national identification and SIM registration, to ensure that your biometric on your SIM is the same with your biometric in the national database, so that somebody could not go and use your passport photograph or someone's biometric to register SIM and commit crime. So if you are innocent, you have no problem to present your biometric to the federal government. If you need biometric, I can give you even here, there's no problem. Come and take it. But usually criminals do not like to present their biometric because it is the easiest way to intercept while committing crime. And this national identification number that the federal government said you should submit, it was assumed that you must have it with you. Because the law establishing NIMC and the national identification number, the law was approved in 2007. And the law gave only 60 days to citizens to obtain their national identification number. If a child is born, he is given only 60 days to be registered. In the condition of necessity, it can be extended to 160 to 180 days maximum. But there is no justification for you not to have it after these days. The law has been in place. And under the law, which has been approved by the National Assembly in 2007, Section 27 of the law says, mention certain services that if you do one of them without obtaining, you have committed an offense. Obtaining voter's card without it, the law says is an offense. Opening a bank account without national identification number is an offense by law. Getting driver's license without NI number is an offense by law. Enjoying any government service without it is an offense by law. Under Section 29, the law says, if you partake in any of this under 27 without this NIN number, you have committed an offense that you can be fined or sanctioned or imprisoned or both of them. This is the provision of the law, that we must do that. When the process of issuance of NIN started, I was not in Nigeria, I was in the United Kingdom doing my PhD. But I came into Nigeria purposely because of NIN, and I obtained the number and I went back to the UK. And not in 2015, even before the coming of this administration. In order to comply with the provision of the law, I bought a ticket from the UK and I came to Nigeria and I obtained it and I went back. So what brought me to the country is just to obtain it and went back. No any responsible country will sit down without having a complete database. As I have given an example, it's the same with social security number in the US. You cannot go and patronize government services there without it, if you are a citizen or legal resident. I lived in the UK. I had to obtain national insurance number, and I have it to date. Why? Because it's mandatory. There are government services you cannot enjoy without it. These are countries that have 99.9% complete database, but yet they don't allow. Why? Because it's critical to whatever government does. It is because of this the current administration came up with national policy. And within a year, the policy was revised. We developed the policy in February 2020. By March 2021, we revised it. Because why? We discovered criminals compromise certain areas. So we had to review it and ensure that it will not be compromised. And it is because of this, the federal government came up with so many provisions in the policy to ensure that the policy will support our country in so many areas. Furthermore, to ensure that there is data confidentiality and privacy, as in the Constitution of Nigeria, Section 37, I personally led a team that produced the first ever data protection regulation for Nigeria. Not only for Nigeria, it is the first data protection regulation in Africa. It is indeed a subsidiary legislation. We developed Nigeria Data Protection Regulation. Many African countries have developed it, but it was after we developed our own in Nigeria. Why? To ensure when citizens provide their biodata and information, there must be privacy and confidentiality. For example, an access to our database in NIMS under the federal government without authorization, the provision of the law, one can be imprisoned for over 10 years or thereabout, just an access to it. Why? Because confidentiality and privacy are key. When government collects data, there must be a provision of confidentiality and privacy. It is because of this we developed the first ever Nigeria Data Protection Regulation. And we did so not today, since 2019. It was the foundation of what we have been doing. And it is in history that no institution has ever been sanctioned because of collecting data or releasing data without authorization until under this administration. An institution was sanctioned with a huge amount of money to pay. Why? Because they released data of our citizens to public without authorization. It was the first one. And it is in line with the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, which I led a team that developed it. These are some of the initiatives of the current administration in order to support our security institutions to make them very effective. The institutions or the sector has been supporting them in so many ways, but security issues are not always discussed in public, and I will not go beyond this. Thank you very much for listening. As we agree to serve government and we are part of government, it is our responsibility to be accountable to our citizens. Any question that you think is relevant to our mandate, you are free to ask. I don't have any problem. Any question that you think is relevant to our mandate, we are free to answer the question, and it is part of our responsibility to do that. Secondly, many citizens fail to understand the line of demarcation between certain sectors. For example, ICT Ministry, or Communications and Digital Economy Ministry, Information and Culture and Security Institutions. Many people have been confronting with regards to regulating fake news and hate speech. Fake news and hate speech, both of them are not under our mandate in any way. They are under the mandate of Ministry of Information and Culture and National Broadcasting Commission. The entire social media platform is not under us, it's called social media. The word media is an indication that it falls under the category of media. So the institution that has been empowered by law to regulate media has nothing to do with our ministry, but rather it is the power of Ministry of Information, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, and National Broadcasting Commission. Because there are two things. We deal with the technology, they deal with the content. We don't regulate content. We don't have the capacity to know this is fake or this is not. It is in information and culture, NBC, where they have the professionals of knowing what is fake and what is not. When they need the support of other institutions, then they can reach out to NCC or Galaxy for the technical support of what to implement based on the provision of the law, not based on sentiment. 2, cybercrime is not under us. Anything that is a crime is under the Office of National Security Advisor, because we already have cybercrime 2015 in place. And that law is under the Office of National Security Advisor. So dealing with the content online has nothing to do with us. We don't deal with the content. The 2 institutions that have a role to play in fake news or hate speech or anything should be Ministry of Information and Culture, National Broadcasting Commission, NSA, and other councils working under NSA office, because there are councils that brought about all the relevant institutions to work under the same umbrella and do. But our institutions like NCC, the EVC is here, Galaxy is here, MD Niche Comsat. When these institutions want to implement certain provisions of the law, and they need technical capacity, then they can engage them that this is what the law says and we want to achieve. What are the specifications? This is where they can come in. But it is not our mandate in any way to handle hate speech or fake news. I hope I have answered the question. Thank you very much. And training, I will allow EVC of NCC to address the issue of 5G and training of the professionals that want to be part of it. We have discussed.
We have spoken at length about this important technology, its benefits, the usage scenarios is faster than 4G. It is a technology that will change our behaviors, the way we do things, so that those things, could be done better, quicker, and, with the desired results. All countries of the world are in a race to embrace the benefits of this PIPS generation technology, which we call 5G, because of the useful, usage scenarios, that I've mentioned. In the case of Nigeria, we have, in addition to sensitization of the public, of citizens of this country, about the benefits of this technology, we have also sensitized them about the safety of this technology, that it is safe for citizens to use. All the negative rhetorics about 5G, that it has a correlation with COVID-19 pandemic, that has been disabused. Beyond reasonable doubt that there is no correlation whatsoever between this technology and the COVID-19 pandemic. We have also succeeded in disabusing the minds of citizens of this country that there is no correlation between 5G and cancer. Okay, because the technology uses a spectrum that is not ionizing. It's non-ionizing spectrum, one which will not hurt citizens, a spectrum that has been established as safe, to deploy and safe to use. So after the trials, that were conducted in 6 locations of the country, which results we have forwarded to government with a recommendation, we have recently also submitted the 5G implementation plan, through the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy to the federal government under the able leadership of Mr. President, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, and we're awaiting the directive of government. I don't want to preempt the directive of government on this, but I would like to assure that we're ready. The gentleman who asked the question, that the federal government, under the leadership of our Mr. President, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, has in fact incentivized entry into any sector of the economy. So new entrants are welcome, to come in and enter any sector of the economy, and indeed the telecommunication sector, in order to provide telecommunication services. And, government, through the economic recovery and growth plan, which is another policy of government, has in fact reduced the income tax that a new entrant into the market should pay by 30%. So we call it pioneer status incentive, to encourage new entrants into the market, to come into the market and provide services. The more the service providers, the better the competition in the market. Okay, and consumers will have an opportunity to subscribe to the service that gives them value for money. So there is no restriction to the number. If you are preferring to come to join the telecommunication sector as an entity to provide telecommunication services, you are very much welcome. If you, through your associates, you want to convey this information to them, entry into the market is still possible. In fact, government has also relaxed the barriers of entry into, virtually all sectors of the economy, courtesy of many other policies. What you need to do is to visit the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission to get information about these various initiatives and incentives provided, by government. There is a question on the correlation between kidnapping and SIMs. Excuse me. Every SIM, every registered SIM, has the biometric and demographic data of the holder captured. Once such a SIM is used to perpetrate any crime, we can easily, through information in the database, the SIM database, be able to come up with the identity of the person who perpetrated, the crime. And the response time is so short. We have been doing that all along. This is information that we don't want to be making public, but because it is necessary here to disabuse minds that indeed the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, through the NCC, is alive to this important responsibility of containing crime of all forms. Once these crimes are SIM-based, we provide information about the person committing the crime is within the shortest possible time to the relevant security agencies, in our country. I will tell you what is happening. The kidnappers, when they kidnap their victims, they change tactics. Before, they were making calls with their own handsets. Now they are using the handsets of the victims. So when you visit the database, you come up with the same information that I've been telling you about. You have the picture of the victim, you have his, address, but then it turns out this is information about the victim, not the person who kidnapped him or her. Okay? So, but still, once a call is made, we can be able with accuracy to establish where that call is. It can be tracked with, with such precision that we can specifically say this call is coming from Suleja and so location in Suleja. So we still provide useful intelligence information to the security agencies in order to really reduce instances of kidnapping, even though, the pictures of the victims, normally come up when we search the database instead of the person, committing the crime. And I believe the security agencies have also been given what we call lawful interception capability. They are licensed to intercept any message, any transmission from anywhere in this part of the country. And again, this is information I am not supposed to be making public. This is highly classified information, but I'm just trying to assure you that all the security agencies are alive to this important responsibility. It's just a time, takes time, maybe to get to the victims, but the information that will lead to where the kidnappers are is information that can be gathered easily, and this is information that can be digested and be used in order to trace, the kidnappers. Okay? So, but they keep changing tactics, and I believe the security agencies are also changing tactics in order to make us safe. Right. NIN, I think the Honorable Minister is the most competent person to speak. Initially, for NIN registration, we have 4 ways of identification. Okay? Voter's card, passport, driver's card, and I think that there is a fourth one, an identity card, issued by, your organization if you are an employee. But of recent, government came up with harmonization of citizens' data, okay, which makes it mandatory for all citizens to possess a NIN. And I think we have gone through the motion of explaining why the NIN. Why all subscribers need to tie their SIM cards, to their NIN. Okay? We're at about 56 million, so far, citizens have acquired their NIN. And because an average subscriber has maybe about 2 to 3, you can be able to count the number of SIMs that are now tied to NIN. They are in excess of 150 million, which is quite a large number. So, progress has really been made. And why this approach is adopted by government is a desirable process. It is to ensure the security of our citizens. The criminals are finding it difficult to come forward to register for their NINs because they know they will easily be found out if they commit any crime. Okay, so that was the reference that the Honorable Minister made, that there was, a palpable reduction in crimes, kidnapping and other, forms of crimes through the introduction of this laudable policy of government, that is a national identity number policy. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Vanguard, I think, newspaper, with regards to the requirement for voters registration. Firstly, I am not here speaking on behalf of INEC. Secondly, I am only explaining the provision of the law. However, I am not a lawyer, but I have been supported by lawyers in whatever I do. So because of this, I am only conveying what I have learned from them. We are here with another lawyer, Barrister Ismail Ahmed, which I believe he can support us. The questioner said, Electoral Act under Section 10 outlines the requirement for voters registration, which I strongly agree with what he has read. The requirements mentioned there, that is the document required for the registration, 3 have been mentioned in the law. Number 1, as it is stated, is called national passport. Number 2, identity card. Number 3, driver's license. These are the 3 mentions there. In law, they have what they call law of contradiction and law of reconciliation. That is a situation where 2 existing laws are conflicting one another. You are not in any way just to discard any one of them and take your interest, but what is mandatory is to reconcile both of them, because none has been amended. The reconciliation there is very clear. Firstly, he said, national identity card has not been mentioned. This is where I disagree with the questioner, because ID card is national identity card. And what is on national identity card is not just your image, but rather that unique number. So firstly, national identity card has been mentioned, and by implication, NIN has been mentioned, because what makes your national identity card legal is the number which is unique to you. Secondly, in reconciling it, since 3 requirements, either of them has been mentioned as requirement, then I can say to you, firstly is national passport. It is a requirement by law that national passport card should not be given to anybody without national identification number. So if INEC says, based on the Electoral Act, that passport is a requirement, then that passport cannot be obtained without national identity number. So national identity is the primary requirement, while passport is the secondary. And it is today, you cannot go to Abuja and obtain passport without NIN number. So you see the reconciliation. And driver's license by law, under NIMSI Act Section 27, that no driver's license should be given without NI number. And recently, FRI has announced officially, Federal Road Safety Commission, they announced officially that NIN is a requirement for the issuance of what? Driver's license. You said the reconciliation. So all the issues you have outlined there, they are not to be given to you without the NIN. Are you following? NIN is a requirement for the remaining two. So this is the reconciliation. Furthermore, to show to you that NIMSI manages the primary database, if you look at the composition of the board members of NIMSI, it's enough to explain to you what I'm explaining now. The members of NIMSI board as at today, National Security Advisor Office is a board member of NIMSI. Police Force, National Police Force, Nigerian Police Force, sorry, is a board member of NIMSI. DSS is a board member of NIMSI. Institutions collecting data, like CBN is a board member of NIMSI. Nigerian Immigration Service is a board member of NIMSI. INEC is a board member of NIMSI. Road Safety is a board member of NIMSI. Are you following? Federal Inland Revenue Service is a board member of NIMSI. So if you look at all the security institutions and all the institutions collecting citizens' data are the board members of NIMSI. Why? Because it is the primary database that they are urged to make use of it. And it is the mandate of NIMSI to harmonize all databases in the country. It is their responsibility. Today, if you need driver's license, your biometric will be asked for. If you need passport, they will ask for your biometric. If NIMSI database is complete, you don't need to go anywhere and present, because they are the board members and they are the ones who manage the database of NIMSI, because the database is under the commission and the commission is represented by the board. So they manage the database. So by providing your biometric there and all the required information, we do hope a situation will come that you don't need to go anywhere to provide your biometric. For example, today in JAM, they said to our children, if you get your national identification number, just send it to us. You don't need to send anything. Even your name is not required. Just send your NIN number to JAM. JAM will get your authorization in person and they will access your information from NIMSI database. So you don't need to do. Only send them your number. That is enough. Are you following? So it is because of this, there is no contradiction in the requirement. All the remaining two you have mentioned, you cannot obtain them without national identification number. And it's one of the major achievements of this administration. By the time we came, the database was almost empty. As at 2020, when I took over the database, as at even 2020, which has been 13 to 14 years in existence, it was only 30-something million. But today we are over 56 million. As at today, it's over 56 million. So at least we are making progress in spite of so many constraints like resources and many more. NIMSI doesn't have resources, but we try to continue to drive the process for the benefit of our country. And I do hope I have answered your question. Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching...